all of you in Women Living in Community Land. I'm waiting for my camera to catch up with me. So I hope you're with me. I'm looking forward to talking to you today about safety, aging, and technology. I hope you liked the ad or whatever it's called that brought you in here. And it's the lady that I think I've seen in many ads, and that is laying on the floor saying, "I fell down and I couldn't get up." For some reason that stuck in my head and I wanted to use it. I have no referral to that company at all. Actually, I'm probably going to lambast them if nothing else. Oh, I forgot to turn my light on. There I am in lights. There's more to be said about lights. So my mom had one of those necklaces when she was in assisted living. I don't think that she really thought of that as a necklace. She thought of it as a way to show that she was old. And she never did figure out how to use it when it needed to be. And I think that's a very common thing with the jewelry, the necklace, the pendant. So she didn't like wearing it at all. So I just wanted to ask you out there in comment land, and that would be, you want to wear one of those things? Let me know. Well, maybe you won't say anything at all. But I'd love to hear from you as I tell a tale of Christmas past. It was December 25th, 2010. I lived in Asheville, North Carolina, and we talk about the climate's great here because we only have a dusting of snow. Well, that dusting that year was 8 to 10 inches of dust that looked a heck of a lot like snow to me. So that said, I was in a big hurry. I lived by myself. Oh wait, that's an important part of this story. I lived by myself, and I was in a big hurry to get to the Grove Park Inn because I was having lunch with some friends there. And I was in a hurry, and I had slippers on, and I fell down inside, thank God, on the stairs. And it was I had a book in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other, and I slipped or something, and I went boom like that. Hi, Judy. And I wanted to say hi to Judy because she's here. Boom. Coffee goes up in the air, and I lay there thinking, I fell down. I wonder if I'm going to be able to get up. So I sat there for a while, and I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to get up. So I checked all my faculties, and I knew I had a pretty good sized bruise. I sort of hobbled over to the refrigerator, got the frozen peas out as instructed, get something cold on it right away. The good news is I only had a bruise. It stayed with me for a very long time, but I did make it to the Grove Park with a little bit of help from my friends and their four-wheel drive. Hi, Nancy. So the other thing that I really realized about that, and maybe it takes me a 2x4 or something to get the point, and that is, it was the kick in the pants, literally, that I had to have that moved me onward to living in community. And you might see a Facebook Live that I did before about living at Glenway House. I hope you will take a look at it. So, before I forget, like I did last week, at the end of this I have a giveaway, a treat, a giveaway, and a little information about an expert in the field of aging that I respect and that I'd love for you to check out to expand your knowledge. So a lot of what I'm talking about today are health-related devices and things. You know, it's basically currently in place. There might be some things that exist that you're actually using, and then what the future holds for us as elders when it comes to this. Now, the reason I put the picture on the front and talked about falls is because that's the thing that most often puts elders in the hospital, in a rest home, etc. So technology can really help, and that's why I'm focusing on it today. It's the beginning of a conversation, hopefully not the end. And other thing that most of us worry about as we age, and that is, how can I afford to stay in my home? So affordability is also going to be a big part of this as well. So technology and what it allows us to do is age in place. And is often the case, I kind of like definitions, so I'm going to stick with the aging in place definition that I like, which is really staying attached to your community, your friends, and where you live, not moving somewhere else. So to actually have that feeling of familiarity and security and independence and autonomy with people around you where you live. And I would challenge you to say a little bit of interdependence as well. Or a shortened version that I'm a fan of, and that is not going to the home is aging in place. So some of these technology things will actually be able to help us. So, question to all of you, and I think Nancy's already ahead of me, and that is, hey, how many of you actually have some of these things? How many of you might have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch? Fitbit's a little bit cheaper. Devices that help us to hear, hearing aids, a smartphone, smart TV, Bluetooth earbuds, a smart home technology is another thing. I don't have a smart home, but the smart home technology I'm not going to go into gory detail about, but for instance, you leave the door open, you can lock it from your phone, or the thermostat, or turning on your lights when you're coming home. There's all sorts of aspects of that as we might forget things, the smart home can remind us. Kind of like that thing in my car when I try to start it, or I leave the keys somewhere, it says, you can't start your car without the keys. Anyway, that's a new car, definitely. And home assistants, Alexa, Echo Dot. I don't know how many of you use her. Hi, Barbara. And that would be, smartphone, smart TV, absolutely. We think we're smart that way, and we are. You don't even realize these things are helping us as we age. They're helping us in so many ways. A thing about the virtual assistant is I have a friend, hopefully that's watching this, Jeanette, that asks her voice assistant for a joke. Isn't that a great idea? A joke every day to get you started. For me, I have my Alexa says she can find my keys. She calls the phone, and she find my phone. Hello, I can't even remember what I'm looking for. Plays music. A lot of times I ask her what time it is many times during the day, or what the weather is. And for people who haven't heard a human voice in a while, their virtual assistant might be a voice that they hear that makes a huge difference. And again, like all things these days, it might be controversial because a lot of people seem to think that those evil companies are listening to us. And when people say that to me, I'm afraid I am a little bit flippant, and I say, well, my life is not that interesting. If they want to listen to it, have at it. Definitely. And there's so many things I'm sure that I don't even touch on with my virtual assistant. So how many home devices, anybody out there have an Alexa, an Echo Dot? Certainly smartphones, I would guess lots of us do have. Yeah. And Alexa, they've gotten cheaper. That's the other thing about affordability. A lot of these things have gotten cheaper and cheaper. And that, as I talk about what's coming in the future, same kind of thing. They will eventually be less expensive and less expensive. And some actual Medicare providers currently are providing Apple Watches to those people that are on Medicare. Another way to be glad that you're old and on Medicare. Yay! So again, you might have to ask for it. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about today come from aginginplace.com. And I want to give a shout out to that website because I'm pretty much in love with it. So I hope you'll go to it. I posted it here for all of you. And I'm of course covering the ones that appealed to me. You guys can have your own opinions, which I certainly hope that you do. So some of them that that's coming, that are already in place are, for instance, the ones that are less intrusive. So they're wearable. They don't wear them. There isn't a pendant or anything. There's no cameras. There's no buttons. There's no pendants or anything like that. But there's some of the apps that there are things that will monitor for whoever might be taking care of us or ourselves, like the Fitbit does. Are you eating enough? Are you sleeping enough? Are you exercising enough? Is there lethargy going on? Have you started to forget things? Have you taken your medications? Again, these are the kinds of things that can be forgotten and could become huge issues. Just like a device for a diabetic, a glucose meter that actually has real-time health data to go to the doctor, reminders, tracking. Boy, that could make a huge difference in a chronic situation. So I'm going to make sure I'm seeing all your comments. And Nancy's asking, the Medicare companies do Apple Watches, and I think it is the Advantage program that I read. So yeah, thank you for asking that. Going on with some of the things that I've looked at is the things that are sort of we're taking for granted that we don't realize are technology at work. So for instance, the gig economy, the fact that people show up when we order food on the phone, don't have to call anybody for pizza, reservations, etc. Gig economy, self-driving cars, and I can't wait to get a robot to clean my house. But I think probably by the time I really want a robot, I'll want him to do something other than clean my house. So adapting what the smart systems are in the future, there's actually going to be ways for us to carry the whole health of all of us. That's physiological, is what I pretty much talked about. But social, mental, emotional needs can make it so that we can actually relax and enjoy elderhood. And again, going back to the affordability issue, if we got to the possibility of actually having some of these technical things, we wouldn't need all of the assistance possibly that we have learned to think that we're going to need as we age. So that's for me a huge plus. So that said, I want to make sure that I tell you some of the things that are coming down the pike. The future of wearables. That's what they call those things that hang around your neck. But of course, we're not wanting to hang it around our neck. The smartphone link is going to go away. That's going to be optional. You'll be able to register right out of the box, or if you have somebody that's helping you, they're going to be able to do it. But you get to decide how much data is collected on you and what it is. That would be nice from a privacy standpoint. And you can subscribe yourself. Right. And Barbara's saying that elders are oftentimes resistant to using these accessories. Well, that's why it's going to be lovely to the point that most of these things will become pretty much they won't even know. There won't be a camera, there won't be any of those kinds of things. They're really inobtrusive. But there will be the kind of data. I'm going forward with this. Stick with me. Terry said that she got rid of her Alexa because every time she called her dog named Alexa, she thought she was talking to her. There is that. It's like, golly, should I change my dog's name just for that? Probably not. Heaven forbid that, right? Back to where we were. So the other thing is that coming down the pike are things like, I don't know what that means, coming down the pike. Arriving in the next 5 years are more of the things that will be voice interactive. So the one I liked here was the one that said, you walked more today. I think you deserve a chocolate tonight. And I thought, this is to encourage someone to sign up possibly for something that will monitor their exercise. I think that's a great idea. I kind of want just the chocolate, but anyway. Also, if somebody has vision issues or dexterity, a voice-based system would really be helpful. And again, as Barbara brought up, most of these things that are going forward, and again, this is some change that's happening, that right now they're on the wrist, they're on the ear, they're around your neck. What if, and this is just some of the things that there'll be data coming in that can go to your doctor or your children or your caregiver or a whole variety of things that we haven't even touched on or thought about. What if they were in a patch? Put a patch on, don't think about it anymore. One I'm a fan of is a ring. So the ring that tells me when to get my medication or when I need to, do something else, or go take a walk, Marianne. It's like, oh my God, what did you say to me? And again, now, for me, looking at as a past business person, and that is somebody's got to make money on this or it's not going to ever make it. So I was very happy to see that some of the people that are running home care and other organizations are beginning to really get the fact that this needs to happen and it needs to happen right away. And one gentleman was talking about, together we combine high tech and high touch so we can deliver a better experience and better care. Well, I think that's where we're going with this, for both the elder and the caregiver. And a CEO of another organization said something that I will quote for you and read, and that is, the pandemic turned a simmering back burner issue into an urgent global human crisis for older adults. Yeah, for sure. In a simple truth, the way the world cares for older adults must evolve. Don't even get me started. Look up Dr. Thomas and you'll see the things that he has done to make a difference in this area. I'm probably going to do a whole blog about Dr. Thomas. And this gentleman said something else that I really liked. He said, the hospital of the future is the home. Yeah. And again, from a business standpoint, senior living marketers want to sell these things. They're going to hand them to caregivers to help them care for elders, for instance. A GPS tracking for a dementia patient might really help a family, might be able to have the person stay in the home longer. And one that I thought was really interesting was about, let's say someone lives alone and has cognitive difficulties. That's kind of sad in itself. But they're taken in an ambulance, nobody is there with them, and if they have a scanning device that says what their allergies are, what their situation is, it could make a life or death difference. These are the kinds of technology that are coming down the road, which I'm really excited about. And again, you have the reluctance oftentimes of practitioners, doctors. They need to get a little kick in their pants about being able to prescribe these for people without the pushback without the I don't want to do that, which was brought up in the comments. And again, these kinds of things can be things that are suggested by a doctor or asked for by us. Definitely. And going back to falls, some of the technologies that are coming up are things that really will help with instantaneous notification, not laying on the floor for a long period of time, like it might have happened to me as I recounted at the beginning of this. So the future is, for the wearables are called, is they're personalized, not just everybody gets one. They're predictive, meaning we're going to know what's going to happen, and they're proactive. And very alliterative, too. So, this has been some pretty serious stuff. I thank you all for hanging in with me. But I wanted you to know about it. I think that we're thinking about the lady on the floor and the thing around her neck. I think that there's really hope that there's going to be some technologies. And some of us already have lots of them. And you can ask for them. But, and a little levity going forward. There also will be robotic cats and dogs. So they'll have sensors in them to interact with human beings like a live pet, without some of the downsides, like cleaning the cat box for me. The one I love is the cat responds to a touch, rolls over, and there's 32 different ways for it to purr. Well, Nancy, you asked how soon in the future. The things that I outlined were things that are in less than 5 years. And I think that with us wanting them, with research, oh, and I forgot to tell you about the field of gerontechnology. So that's a marrying of gerontology and technology. And there's a lot of us. So I encourage you to look at some of the sites that I mentioned and really take into account that these are the kinds of things that will make it possible for us to age in our homes, age in place. So the last of my favorites is, oftentimes that one of the things I didn't touch on was the possibility of having sensors in the floor that actually monitor movement within a space, especially it's probably a smaller space than wandering around your entire house. But again, the sensors make it so that if there's a routine, you walk to the refrigerator, you walk to the bathroom, the things that you regularly do are mapped out in this kind of smart technology. And one of the ones that I loved was the fact that there's actually sensors on the floor so that when you get up in the night, you put your feet on the floor and there's a path lit, not like bright lights or anything, but lit after you put your feet on the floor to the bathroom. Do your stuff and then come back, take your feet off of the floor, and the sensor goes off. I gotta tell you, I was wondering if when you get back in bed we could add applause. Yay! Sorry, I couldn't resist that. So thank you all for being here. Again, I started with some things about falling. I'm going to talk about prevention. We talked about aging in place and what it really is, fall prevention, you know, what current tech we have now that you kind of are taking for granted probably, and it's only going to get better. And as business gets to be part of this, and insurance companies. I mean, insurance companies have a lot to do with our health going forward. Okay, we're at the giveaway time. Giveaway time. Thank you, Barbara, for telling me this is interesting. I thought it was. I forgot. Hi, Imelda. I forgot. I didn't forget Imelda. I'd never forget Imelda. But anyway, I forgot last week the giveaway, so this week I get to do two. Yes. So one of the giveaways is my book, those of you that want one of my books, if you don't already have it, I'm sure you all know how to direct message or DM. If you're a follower or a liker of Women for Living in Community Networks on Facebook, which is what I'm on right now, you can send me a direct message, and I would be glad to send you my book. That's one. And the second one is a half-hour kickoff call with me to, guess what? Get you going. Get you started, right? So whoever gets those first two things, please direct message me. That's how you do it on here. Thank you, Judy, I'm glad you like the information. And last but not least, a couple little pointers. I mentioned Dr. Bill Thomas, and a quote, I'm a fan of quotes, you might have noticed that. And this is Dr. Bill Thomas, who I left in the description, his link and a couple other links. This is a quote from him. It turns out that older people pretty much want what everyone else wants, to belong to a community that includes people of all ages and remain connected to the living world. Yeah. That is for sure. He's quite a guy. And a way with words. So, I told you last week I would have the name of the webinar for you. Well, I don't. It's been quite the week of banging and crashing at my house, and things will be much better, but I really am waiting till November to do my webinar, and I really will tell you when I have the fancy, wonderful, sexy, perfect name for it. So when we promote it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And next week, I'm going to talk about the Golden Girl phenomenon. Why are so many people in love with the Golden Girls, anywhere from the age of 8 to 80? I bet you have your own ideas. Yeah. So there's some websites for you here, and I will see you next week. If you want to give me some thumbs up, comments, I would appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next week. And as Nancy said, we need a lot of Dr. Thomases in all these places. Well, guess what? I'm counting on you guys to do your part. So that's all about Women for Living in Community. I'm Mary Ann Kilkenny. Thank you for being here. It's about connection, information. That's what this is. And what? Taking action. See you next week.